Hello, I'm obviously inside the house for this particular review, and don't worry, this seed packet got wet after I planted them. I wanted to talk about complex stratification, and in this case we're talking about Yapoun holly, which is a native caffeine production plant that is hardy to zone 7. These particular seeds were purportedly collected in Virginia, so that's pretty close zone-wise to here. And they have what is called complex stratification. Jump. All right, so complex stratification is, so let's start with what is stratification. Stratification is a thing you need to do to a seed for it to be viable. So most common two types of things, categories of things that are stratification, are scarification and cold stratification. So scarification is scratching the seed so that water can get in. It's usually the reason you need to scratch the surface of the seed. And cold stratification is a method of exposing a seed to a set quantities of days of cold for it to be able to germinate. So these things that you do to the seed are designed to help the seed complete its natural process built into the seed so that it won't germinate too soon, because naturally seeds don't have greenhouses or indoor parts of houses to get started in. Naturally, many seeds that are native to ranges that have a winter have some sort of system built in that stops them from germinating the first time it thaws in the middle of the winter, because they'll just freeze off and die. So, this is complex stratification. So this particular plant needs 1 month of over 80 degrees. Oh, what is that? It's like 17 or 18 C, I guess. Something like that. Not entirely sure. I'm learning cold on the Celsius side, so I'll put it in the comments or something like that. Camera shut off for some reason. It needs that warm stratification of very warm for 1 month, and then it needs to have that followed by 1 month of cold. Kind of an average between completely frozen and earth temperature is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. What was that? That was like 12 Celsius maybe? And it is where the seed will land. It's very common for a seed to need a certain amount of time, very cold in the ground, for it to be able to sprout. You can see there are little sprouts coming up in here. You see the little bits of green? Right, there's one. And there's one. That is not the seed we planted, and that is okay. So those are technically weeds that have come up out of my compost that I've put in here, and that first shows me that seeds can sprout in this medium, which is very, very good news. And secondly, it shows me that I have the moisture level at the right level. So until this puppy goes outside, we're going to go ahead and let those little sprouts be coming up. So if they start to wilt, I'll know to add more water, because this is on top of my radiator heater. A boiler, hot water heater. I happen to have a house that is 117 years old, or maybe more. It's hard to say. And records are kind of fuzzy. And this is an older type of heat, but it has a modern furnace downstairs. Thank goodness, because it's pretty darn efficient. It heats up the water, and it just takes a AA battery that opens up a valve. The water flows through here hot from the little heating station downstairs, and it's just a hot water rises kind of situation. Now, as it cools, it goes back down on the other side. There's one in this room, one in the other room over there, and then I have floorboard versions of the same thing downstairs. So in this case, it's a very good surface to put something on, and it can get really, really hot. Like if you sat directly on these, you do burn, you get burnt. It's not fun. So I thought this would be a good way to give a plant in the wintertime, to give it the ability to have very warm stratification in prep for going out for its cold stratification. I do have this cage over top, forgot to mention that, because I have cats. As soon as I brought this pot in, the kitten dug it up, dumped it on the floor, and I had to redo it. I've also noticed that what I believe is mycelium, and I would love to have you sound off in the comments as to whether you agree with me, or if you think it looks like mold. What I believe is mycelium in the soil. Let's get one of these out. Let me get my hand in there. It's not easy. See that? It's not easy. So, squeezily. Let's take a closer look. I can only get so close with this camera. I think that's mycelium. I do not think that's mold. But, if anyone has other thoughts, then perhaps a more drastic measure may be needed. I'm gonna put it back in. So there's seeds, doot. This particular packet, I think, oh, and then like 2 or 3 in the middle. I think this particular packet, yeah, I just had 25 seeds, and so I put them kind of spaced out. They're near the surface, and all I did was water them so that they kind of sunk in. Some of the stuff floated, and they just sunk a little bit. And I'm hoping that they'll do all right in here. On the 3rd of February, it is time to take them outside, which will be perfect because by March we'll start to have our thaw, and that timing should line right up. So hopefully this plant will do great with this. We'll find out. Also, the seed recommendations additionally say to never let them dry and never package them, so they might not do well. When I put them outside, I'm going to put a layer of paper so that I can remove them more easily. And this will just be those like ad mailers from the grocery store and stuff that always come in your dang mailbox every week, multiple times a week. I'm going to put a layer of that down, and then I'm going to put a big handful of wood chips on top of that. And then in the spring, we'll lift that off. And so this whole pot is going to get sunk down into the ground into a waiting pot socket that has a pot full of wood chips set into it. So I'll pull the empty, full of wood chips, pot out of that hole, settle this one in, paper, heavy mulch, and then in March, we'll pull that off, probably put this back on so the birds don't eat them while they sprout, and see if we get Yapoun. I'm very excited. I hope that this was a good introduction to stratification. Most plants just have a simple stratification. However, some of them have something a little bit more complex. How would you look it up? Oh, that's a really good question, isn't it? So one thing you can do to look it up is search the scientific name of the plant. So this seed card does not say, oh yes it does. It has it on the back. So a lot of them do say the scientific name, but if you go to the website where you got it from, that will definitely say the scientific name. This is Ilex Vomitoria because the leaves are good and edible, but the berries are not, hence the Vomitoria. And it, on the internet, I said stratification Ilex Vomitoria. or stratification guidelines, Ilex Vomitoria. So you need to first get the botanical name, and that'll get you a really good search result out of Google, and then write stratification, and it will give you directions on how to undertake that process. Stratification, STRATIFICATION, I think. Google will tell you if I'm wrong, but that will at least get you in the gosh darn ballpark, huh? So I really hope this is helpful. And I hope that we'll have good results. If you have any tips or tricks, if you have succeeded with shipped Ilex Vomitoria Yapoun seeds, and something's gone well for you with that, I'd be interested to hear about that. Any input that you have, or questions, or thoughts about other seeds that you're not sure what to do about, I hope this helps, and let me know. I'm really interested to hear what people are doing. Happy January. It's winter here. My Australian followers are like, why are you doing this? It's warm right now. Sorry, friends. Maybe it'll be applicable when it's cold in your area. Although you don't really get cold, so maybe this isn't applicable at all. Sorry, Australia. And just really looking forward to having a conversation. Thanks so much. Take care. Thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye.